Good morning, everyone. Lots going on as usual. Today's Thursday, May 5th, 2025. Or no, I was going to say Cinco de Mayo. No. It's June 5th, 2025. I'm pretty sure. Did I say Wednesday? Thursday. It's Thursday. I'm sorry. I totally messed all that up. Big, beautiful, build back better. What? Hold on. What's going on here? Build back beautiful, big, beautiful bill? Huh? Do you think that there's some kind of correlation there? I am suspicious. But anyway, it's very, very interesting that the big, beautiful bill is creating a civil war in MAGA, according to the news. And indeed, Elon Musk is calling out Donald Trump and saying and calling on the Senate to kill the bill because the big, beautiful bill challenges or puts at risk some things that Elon Musk's Tesla relies on, is the speculation. And there are a bunch of other people who want to kill the bill for other reasons as well, not the magnetic reasons that you'd think, not the selfless reasons that you'd think, right? So very interesting stuff happening with the big beautiful bill, and we'll talk about that later in the show. The steel industry is being crushed with 50% tariffs. We're going to listen to the mayor of Sault Ste. Marie talk about that today. Coordinated takedown of creators over brand safety. YouTube may be on the hook. The Quartering's talking about that, and I think we're in the pre-stages of a big lawsuit, but we'll see if they actually follow through. And if there's a big lawsuit, I think that YouTube is still operating at the behest of the Canadian government. And so nothing's going to change in Canada. Nobody's going to get paid out. But I think maybe in the United States, things might get maybe put on the right track. But if you're going to put things on the right track, you have to break up Google. Google's a huge monopoly. They control speech. They have their fingers in enterprise pies, but at the same time, they have their fingers in all small pies too. Like if you have a small YouTube channel, Google pays you. And also if you have a massive enterprise company, maybe you use Google Workforce or Workbook or whatever it's called for their enterprise suite for communications and business and things like that, right? And so Google's got their fingers in everything. And if they decide, well, we don't like people who say that man can't be a woman, and they take away your ability to advertise, they take away your ad revenue, they take away your YouTube channel, well, that's antitrust, right? Like there's a problem with that. I mean, they took over, they broke up Microsoft for less. They said, you can't have an internet browser on that computer. And Microsoft said, really? Can we have a calculator? Anyway, the whole thing was kind of weird, but they did that. And if they leave Google intact, I feel like they're just ignoring a really big problem. And this whole brand safety excuse, we've got a Pickering town council person, Lisa, and she ran for the PPC. She's been around and fighting for freedom for a while, and she's got proof now. And an independent Ontario watchdog on her side saying what Pickering is doing is against the law. They're breaking laws. Very interesting. We'll look at that. Interest rate is being held at 2%, 2.5%. Some people say that's good. Some people say that's bad. Some people are calling for a reduction. Other people are saying interest rates should probably be a lot higher than there. The throne speech passed with no vote. We'll talk about that on division, they say. And Russia is not invited to the 2026 Olympics. Aren't those Trump's Olympics? I didn't realize they were Winter Olympics, so I thought that was interesting. And if they're not interested or they're not invited to the 2026 Olympics, isn't it only June 5th? It's not Cinco de Mayo, that's for sure. How do we know what's going to happen? Aren't we going to be peaceful and normalize trade with Russia by 2026? Trump said that the war was going to be over yesterday. So, I mean, come on. First day in office, first thing he was going to do is end that war. He's going to call up Zelensky and read him the riot act and call up Putin and say everything is normal now. Go ahead with normal things. And that didn't happen. So how do they know now, right? How do they know now what's going to happen in a year from now? Because Trump didn't know that he wasn't going to be able to negotiate the end of the Ukraine war, did he? Maybe he did. Probably did. So there's lots to get to. Let's get to it first. We have to start with the full-blown invasion of the West and the use of our state apparatus, our institutions, all of those things to make sure that the invasion of the West goes ahead swimmingly without any kind of impediment. Okay, that's really what's going on here. And here's Politics UK. And they say Reform UK confirms Sarah Pochin calling for a ban on the burqa in the United Kingdom is not party policy. But in the House of Lords, she came forward and asked about a burqa ban, saying, are we going to follow the French to ban the burqa to prevent, what's happening everywhere else in Europe from happening here? And indeed, it is happening in England too, and it's happening in Canada. And John O'Looney says, in honesty, look at her. She doesn't look comfortable saying it. I don't think that these are her words, but perhaps those of the puppet masters. The elites crave civil unrest. So what do? You pack in a whole bunch of people who believe in Islam and then, or who believe in burqas and things like that. And then you get a party who gets elected and starts saying this. And all of a sudden you've got a natural wedge. You can use religion to wedge people. Look at the Tutsis and the Hutus and the Tutsis. Look at all that, right? You can use religion, you can use skin color, you can use anything you want to wedge people. But a natural wedge comes up like this, and bingo, bango, bongo, you've got a way to say us and them. And it seems like this is shaking the jar. Is she shaking the jar? And I mean, burqa ban, I think that if you come to a country and you're a guest in the country, then you're expected to adhere to their customs and things like that, right? You don't get to walk in and say, Merry Christmas. Here's my Christian everything and blah 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 blah. You don't get to impose that on other countries. They shouldn't get to impose it here. Do I agree with the burqa ban? Probably. It's probably a good idea, right? But this is very controversial, very, very controversial. In fact, it probably lost Stephen Harper the 2015 election. Here is something about clothing bans and things like that. Also, the kids washing up on the beach, the one kid washing up on the beach that was blamed on Stephen Harper and it wasn't his fault, lost him the election. I digress. Burqa ban in the United Kingdom. Here we go.
Given the Prime Minister's desire to strengthen strategic alignment with our European neighbours, will he, in the interests of public safety, follow the lead of France, Denmark, Belgium and others and ban the burqa?
Yeah. Prime Minister.
Can I welcome her to her place? But I'm not going to follow her down that line. But now she is here and safely in her place, perhaps she could tell her new party leader that his latest plan to bet £80 billion of unfunded tax cuts, with no idea how he's going to pay for it, is Liz Truss all over again.
So he doesn't want to talk about the burqa ban. He welcomes her to her place, and he pivots to Nigel Farage and all of these other things. Liz Truss dropping names, and it's a political pivot, right? And he's not going to talk about the burqa ban, right? And the House of Lords is ooh, so bad, so bad, so bad. The press too. All of the people who want the invasion to continue are going to say, oh, it's so bad to criticize. Well, no. When you are a guest in somebody else's country, whether you live there for an extended period of time or not, you should abide by their customs and not demand adherence to your way of life. Rupert, who's an MP in the United Kingdom, says the burqa is a political symbol. It represents a deeply patriarchal and unpleasant worldview that has no place in British society. We must defend the freedom of girls and women born into a culture where that suffocation isn't a choice but a rule. Let's ban the burqa. So there you go. The conversation is happening in England. And why? Why is this happening? This is in England, but we've seen videos of British cities that look very similar. The video shows a Danish city, Geert Wilders, Netherlands, I guess, and it's got burqa-clad women and lots of Muslim people, et cetera, or Islamic people. I don't know what's respectful to say, whatever. But that's the point and the problem. Radio Genoa says this is Molenbeek. Geert Wilders is absolutely right. This is not immigration. It's an Islamic invasion that wants to erase European culture and history, a real apocalypse. And we're too polite to even acknowledge that it's happening, to even talk about it. How dare you, right? The House of Lords is hissing and booing because somebody's bringing up these things that are on the people who pay the taxes and the salaries of everybody in the House of Lords and the House of Commons and so on and so forth. That's what they're talking about, and they're, you can't talk about that. Geert Wilders says Western European cities look like medieval Arab cities with women in hijabs and burqa. We feel like strangers in our own country. This is what an Islamic invasion looks like. Real time, everybody. We are living it real time. What a time to be alive. Mega Voice says, breaking, President Trump drops the microphone on Europe saying we will not let what happened to Europe happen in America. So 2 minutes of this. We'll stop it when it stops making sense to listen to. Here we go.
The recent terror attack in Boulder, Colorado, has underscored the extreme dangers posed to our country by the entry of foreign nationals who are not properly vetted, as well as those who come here as temporary visitors and overstay their visas. We don't want them. In the 21st century, we've seen one terror attack after another carried out by foreign visa overstayers from dangerous places all over the world. And thanks to Biden's open door policies, today there are millions and millions of these illegals who should not be in our country. In my first term, my powerful travel restrictions were one of our most successful policies, and they were a key part of preventing major foreign terror attacks on American soil. We will not let what happened in Europe happen to America. That's why on my first day back in office, I directed the Secretary of State to perform a security review of high-risk regions and make recommendations for where restrictions should be imposed. Among the national security threats their analysis considered are the large-scale presence of terrorists, failure to cooperate on visa security, inability to verify travelers' identities, inadequate record-keeping of criminal histories, and persistently high rates of illegal visa overstays, and other things. Very simply, we cannot have open migration from any country where we cannot safely and reliably vet and screen those who seek to enter the United States.
So there we go. We'll leave that there. Yeah, pretty interesting. Here's the White House. It's the same video. It's just, I wanted to show you, it's official. They put it out on the official channels too. Disclosed TV says, just in, Trump signs proclamation to restrict the entry of non-immigrant foreign students at Harvard. Oh, that he also signed a travel ban. There's 12 countries. Darn, I thought I had the travel ban there. Trump signed a travel ban, banning travel from a bunch of countries, and it had the list, and that's what I was hoping to communicate. So this is probably, the one that I wanted is probably later in the show somewhere, but Trump restricts foreign visas at Harvard University, in addition to banning 12 countries from travel into the United States. It's a bunch of South African countries as well. I think it's mostly African countries. Maxime Bernier is responding to this first reading. High immigration is worsening Canada's economic problems, says report. So in the United States, they're saying we're not going to let what happened to Europe happen here. In Europe, in the Netherlands, Geert is saying, have you seen European cities? They look like Middle Eastern Arabic cities with women clad in burqas. And the House of Lords in the United Kingdom is saying, hey, should we ban the burqa? Despite everybody hissing and booing there, these are conversations that are happening. And in Canada, we're ignoring it all completely, right? Record high immigration is impacting productivity and housing affordability. Keep your eyes closed. I see no evil. Two metrics on which Canada is among the worst in the world. Worst in the world? Sorry, I had my fingers in my ears. I couldn't hear that. Maxime Bernier says, who could have guessed? By overseeing one of the most dramatic immigration surges of modern times, Canada has cratered housing affordability, kneecapped productivity, and concealed the true state of its economic growth, according to a new profile by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD. So, yeah, we're screwing ourselves over and over again. Here is Jeffrey Rath. I think he might be the first president of independent Alberta before Alberta becomes the 51st state. Anyway, he says, just had a very disturbing conversation with a Canadian immigration officer. I was told about the complete abuse of, quote, open work permits and, quote, temporary resident permits by the Liberals to flood Canada and Alberta with unvetted people from some of the most violent and criminal regions on earth. The so-called open work permits instantly come with social insurance numbers, which instantly enable the so-called workers to collect social assistance, probably, and vote too as well. Any so-called foreign worker committing a crime or collecting social assistance needs to be immediately deported. Yes, those people are being used to attack us by stealing our social insurance. So like, if I pay taxes expecting to help other Canadians who have fallen on tough times, maybe lost their job, and they go and collect social service, then that's the agreement I made with the government, or the government made with me, and I entered into unwillingly, but I was forced into that agreement because that's the laws that I was born with. Anyway, regardless, I pay taxes, the government uses it for fellow countrymen, blah, 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 blah. And now they are importing. So some MPs decided, this is a whole lot of money we've got sitting here. Why don't we import people from wherever, who cares where, and have them take all this money? That's stealing from you and me. That takes our money and gives it to a foreigner because these people felt bad for that foreigner. That's not what our government is supposed to do. That's treason. Okay? It's like if you are in a business agreement and your business partner goes and does something behind your back and gives it to the competition across the way, and you're like, hey man, I thought you worked here. Don't we work together for our company, this company here, not that company over there? Oh yeah, but they were doing poorly, so I thought we'd fix their windows for them and their door and whatever. And maybe they have a higher market cap than you. You know what I mean? Like, what the heck? Or maybe they don't have a higher market cap than you, but you're prevented from being viable, or you're prevented from being profitable because you can't get ahead because you keep paying for your competition across the way. What the hell, man? And you find out it's coming from inside the house. It's your own partner doing it. Our own government's doing it. Why? What the hell? It doesn't make any sense. And so it is treason, and it won't stop unless we treat it as treason, unless we stop these people and say, you committed a crime and now you're going to go to jail. And they say, oh, but we meant well. I don't care. I don't care. You committed a crime. You stole from us. You're still stealing from us right now. So very interesting happening there. And I fully believe this. I don't doubt that this conversation happened. Now, take it with a grain of salt, because specifics like this in an anecdotal story could get things wrong. But broadly, from what I'm seeing from our government takes our tax dollars and launders it to Ukraine, Israel, Gaza, or anywhere else. So people coming here getting Canadian tax dollar payouts, very, very plausible to me. So I take it with a grain of salt, but I think probably this stuff's happening, and it's probably way worse. Like, if only we knew how bad it really is, right? So Leah says, all of our institutions have been infiltrated, and this is a humiliation ritual. This is one of the humiliation rituals. There was another one, and I don't have the video of it. I apologize. It was one of those things, but I think it was from York or maybe Peel Regional Police. Peel Regional Police had a bunch of the brass up on stage, and they had a drag queen running around. And I don't know why they had the drag queen running around. He was in a skirt, like in a dress. It was a white dress, and it was a very flowy dress, and he was making it fly up. And so it was a very, I thought it was completely inappropriate. Imagine a pretty girl doing the same thing, just running back and forth and going, oh, right? Like, what are we doing here, everybody? This is supposed to be professional. Like, are you kidding me? So just because it's a man dressed up as a woman, I don't see any difference. Why are we entertaining any of this, right? Get a stripper here if you're interested in all of that, but I don't understand why we're having cross-dressing men run around in front of police officers, and I don't understand why we're doing jazzercise on the stage for the media. Like, this is a very strange thing. This doesn't make me think my police are working for us. This makes me think that somebody somewhere, maybe in India, called somebody up and said, it'd be fun. Let's watch the GTA police humiliate themselves today. And here we go. So. Nope. If I was scheduled to do this, I'd quit. I'd come up to the podium and I would say, this is I'd pull off whatever brass things that I was wearing. I'd take my hat off and I'd say, I quit, you lunatics. This is insane. This is insane. And I'm not going to do this anymore. And you can shove it up your ass. Nope. Absolutely not. I would not subject myself to being humiliated like this, period. I've seen videos of George Bush dancing on stage with people, and he looked like an idiot too. And if I was the most powerful man in the world, the president of the United States, even if I wasn't, if I was a street rat and somebody said, come up here, we're going to have you dance around and blah, 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 I'd be like, you know what? Nope. Absolutely not. No. How about that? Nope. And so I think it's funny, but it's terrible. Like, the state of our police is such that they don't have a backbone or the ability to think for themselves. If you're standing here thinking, like, what do they think? I'm helping? Like, give me a break, guys. You're not, right? How much? Well, this Rupa says, why do Canadian cops feel the need to humiliate themselves like this? Here dancing to a Bollywood song. You'd never see police in India doing this kind of performance horse shit that too in the name of diversity, only in Canada. Yeah, it's one of those things where we are beclowning ourselves and allowing our institutions to look foolish for what? Like, these police officers are overseeing a rise in gun crime, violent crime, all sorts of other stuff, and they're dancing to Bollywood, and they're thinking we're helping? Give me a friggin' break. Are you kidding me? Michelle Rempel, the WEF darling, says, elbows up, and Toronto Sun says, bail for third man charged in London, Ontario's largest fentanyl bust. So he gets bail, largest fentanyl bust. Oh, but he gets bail. I wonder why he gets bail. You see why he gets bail? It's a Middle Eastern man in the picture. That's why he gets bail, right? If it was a white guy, he'd be already at Alcatraz, right? They would have sent him there to help Trump open it up. Don Davies, who's the interim leader of the NDP, says, "Today I was pleased to meet with the Muslim community leaders from across Canada as part of NCCM's National Advocacy Day. We discussed the urgent need to combat Islamophobia, protect human rights, and ensure all Canadians feel safe, respected, and included." I don't feel safe, respected, or included in my own country, thanks, Don. And I don't feel safe, respected, or included because the priorities are this guy meets with the Muslims. And when's the last time he met with, I don't know, Christians? Who's the Bishop of Canada? Who's the Bishop of Ontario, Don? So feel safe and included. You know where they'd feel safe and included? Somewhere in the Middle East. They could feel safe and included there for all day long. I don't care. But it's not our job. It's not our job to take care of all of these people. It's not our job. And in fact, we're losing our culture and our country by trying. So we should stop. We definitely should stop. Let's move into our grab bag of governance. And yesterday, the throne speech passed the confidence vote. So that was fun. And the confidence vote didn't actually happen at all. It was I'll show you the vote where it passed. In the chamber, it says the address in reply to the speech from the throne was adopted. So here is, that's Don Davies. This is out of order. Sorry. I'll fix that. Here is the House, and gov.exe says the throne's speech passed because nobody opposed it when the speaker asked. It wasn't a recorded vote. He just shouted it out and nobody objected, not even Andrew Scheer. So you can see Andrew Scheer and somebody else in the bottom corner here. But this is the vote for the throne speech. And okay, the reason that Don Davies was here is because he's saying that they're not going to support the throne speech. They're going to vote no on the throne speech. And it was done on division. The throne speech passed on division because he said, does anybody oppose? And nobody opposed. So here's Don Davies talking about how they're going to vote no on the throne speech. Here we go. If they had voted no, the throne speech wouldn't have passed on division. Okay?
I want to announce today is that New Democrats met caucus this morning, and we decided that we are going to be voting no to the throne speech. 1.2 million Canadians sent New Democrats to this parliament to advocate for working families across this country. And yet, in this throne speech, we don't see those priorities reflected. Millions of Canadians don't have access to an affordable home. They don't have access to timely health care, and they don't have access to the good family-sustaining jobs that they need.
Well, that's because your last leader propped up the Liberals while they destroyed the country. So you're going to vote no on things? Okay, vote no. Here's your opportunity, NDP. Were you not in the chamber? Here's the opportunity to vote no. Nobody said a word. The women are in suits. Look at this. They're both in suits. Are they both wearing bow ties? Weird. Here we go.
Mr. Speaker, there have been discussions among the parties, and if you seek it, I believe you'll find unanimous consent for the following motion. That notwithstanding any standing order or usual practice of the House, A, the address be engrossed and forwarded to His Majesty the King. B, an address be presented to Her Excellency the Governor-General, praying that Her Excellency will be pleased to transmit to His Majesty the King an engrossed address which the Commons of Canada in Parliament assembled adopted in reply to His Majesty's speech at the opening of the first session of the 45th Parliament, and C, the address be engrossed and presented to Her Excellency the Governor-General by the Speaker.
All those opposed to the honourable members moving the motion will please say nay. Agreed. The House has heard the terms.
You can see the leader of the opposition right here. That's Andrew Scheer. He didn't say anything. He heard him. Didn't say anything.
Of the motion. All those opposed to the motion will please say nay.
Andrew?
Carried.
There you go. Passed. He's chatting with Mark Gerritsen, who's the leader of the government in the House, as far as I understand it. So pretty interesting stuff happening there. Vesper says to everyone freaking out over the Conservatives, please look at this. This was posted 20 minutes ago. This is another confidence vote, or there is another confidence vote coming. Pierre said he would vote against it with the Conservatives. See link below. So the next confidence vote is expected to be on the main estimates, which were tabled last week and outline annual government expenditures. Similarly, the estimates are automatically considered a matter of confidence, and Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre has already announced his party will vote against the government. The estimate The estimates will be examined for 4 sitting days by a committee of the whole, which will be formed on Thursday with a vote expected later this month. So they're going to, I was asking why would they not bring, if the NDP were going to vote no and the Bloc, well, here's Blanchett, I think, talking about how much he hates, well, how much Carney hates Quebec. I can't imagine the Bloc propping up the Liberals. So why did they allow this throne speech to pass? Why didn't they plunge us into another election and vote no confidence, right? Because nobody has confidence. You can't govern a country with no budget. Come on, really? Nobody has confidence in this. So why wouldn't they do that? It doesn't make sense. And Vesper's suggestion is basically that if they brought the government down now, they wouldn't have anything to bring to the Canadian people for why. It was just, seems petty, you know what I mean? But it doesn't seem petty. They refused to table a budget. But now they're giving them the opportunity to refuse to table a budget? I don't know. He says that's what he thinks. He says, I'm not a CPC HQ. He's not at CPC HQ, meaning he doesn't work there. But if he had to guess, it would be that they need something so overtly absurd presented by the Liberals so as to use it against them. The budget is the perfect opportunity to pounce on them. They knew there was a second confidence motion that was coming soon. So they allowed this to pass on division because they knew another confidence vote was coming soon. So everybody votes for the King's speech, and don't worry about it, everyone. There's another confidence vote coming soon. I don't buy it, but there's no choice but to watch what happens next, because here we are. Here's Blanchett. Keep this in mind when he supports the Liberals, okay? Because the NDP have said we're not supporting the Liberals. So when Blanchett comes in and supports the Liberals to give them a pass or whatever, or you know what, it'll probably be three rogue yeses that put it over the top. So all of the political parties voted against it except for these 4 people or something like that. It's 173 to whatever it is, and they can carry the no budget through, which is that is not something that should be allowed, period. Here's Blanchett on Carney.
Do you think Mr. Carney understands Quebec?
I think he does not give a damn. It is a problem for him to be forced to try to speak French, and he doesn't like it, and he does not really understand. He doesn't like us so much. He will never say that he does not like us, but I don't feel the love. I don't feel interest for Quebec. I don't feel interest for the difference. I don't feel interest.
He doesn't like us. He doesn't like me either. Right? He doesn't like Ontario. He doesn't like Canadians. He doesn't really like white people. Right? So
for the language, I don't feel interest for the culture. I don't feel interest for anything which is Quebec. What defines us is not even part of his vocabulary, because for the time being, I don't see what's good for Quebec in it.
Do you think Mr. Carney understands?
So he doesn't see, I don't know what he's specifically talking about there, but he's going after Carney pretty hard, saying, he doesn't like us, he doesn't like Quebec, he doesn't like speaking French, he doesn't like this, he doesn't like that, he doesn't like us. And yep, that's true of the rest of Canada too. Very, very interesting. He doesn't like the rest of Canada either for various reasons. Blacklock's reporter says Safety Canada would repeal. So this is Mark Carney's bill. And we're going to talk about that shortly in censorship as well. But in Mark Carney's bill, they're trying to allow police to open your mail, and people have speculated that extends to email as well. So full-blown police state, surveillance state, all rolled into one. Woo! Great for your safety, comrade. Super good. It's double plus good. Safety Canada, so this is the official account of Public Safety Canada, would repeal a 158-year ban on police opening mail. It's 100% charter compliant, the minister says. Are you concerned at all about the civil liberties of Canadians? No. Next question. Absolutely not. Next. Here is Ryan Gerritsen, and this is Dane Lloyd, MP Dane Lloyd, and he says, just listen to this absurd non-answer. Dane asks, hey, did you guys buy any water bombers like you said you were going to? Spend $500 million on water bombers to be ready for the next fire season in 2021? And they say, next question. Here we go.
Trudeau said a re-elected Liberal government would spend $500 million to train and equip 1,000 new firefighters across the country who would be ready to spring into action before the next wildfire season. The money would also buy equipment such as water bombers and helicopters. We know that didn't happen by the next wildfire season, but now it's been 4 years since then. Can the member who's part of this government tell us how many helicopters and how many water bombers has this government bought since that promise was made in 2021?
The honourable member for Winnipeg South.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker, and I want to thank the
Honourable member for the question. The honourable member, I would put a question back to him. Climate change is real. We are
yes,
having
the hallmark of a real thing. Listen, unicorns are real, and we definitely need to have policies around unicorn rearing.
To adapt and learn from the various experiences that are taking place across the country, whether that be Fort McMurray, whether that be Jasper, whether that be Manitoba. We do need to beef up our forces. We need to train more firefighters. We need more water bombers. And we need to get to work together, Madam Speaker, to make those things happen.
Ridiculous. They didn't do a damn thing to do any of those goals since the last time they said, oh, we're going to do this stuff. Why would anybody work with these people? Holly Doan is highlighting this. Attorney General Sean Fraser apologizes after saying First Nations don't hold veto power over pipeline projects. Cabinet earlier defended Indigenous pipeline blockades as a democratic right. I learned my lesson, he says. Josh says Fraser has apologized to the Assembly of First Nations for saying they don't have a veto over resource projects. Legally, they don't. So is the Liberal policy now that First Nations get a veto? Which First Nations? Over what land? Are the rest of us now second-class citizens? It seems so, and that's ridiculous. So Lisa Robinson is talking about this. This is absolutely crazy. So the beginning of this video lays out that the Privacy Commissioner has gone over the evidence and agrees with Lisa that the Pickering Council broke the law. They used taxpayer dollars, created an erroneous video. They used the video to say there's a clear and present danger of alt-right something or other. And they used the video to strip Lisa of her budget to be able to use it to hold town halls and things like that. And it was a political hit job. And so I don't know if anything's going to happen, but it's quite an interesting story. It's 11 minutes. And the whole thing is absolutely jaw-dropping. She kind of summarizes it here, which is why I've got it here. But there's so many crazy things in this video. Like, yeah, there are so many crazy. There are text messages. I don't want to move it from where I've got it here, but they're like earlier. Maybe at the end I'll show you. But earlier in the video, there are text messages between them trying to dial the video in to make it as damaging as possible, and the language they use is very, very purposeful to try and communicate a quote clear and present danger that doesn't exist. Here's Lisa.
Of time, coordination, and the internal planning being done instead of doing city business. The narrator, Shauna Muir, a staff member. The opening and closing lines delivered by the mayor himself, providing his full endorsement. This video was used to cancel all in-person meetings. It was used to block me from using my council budget to hold any more town halls. It was all based on a false narrative, a lie, now exposed by the Ontario Privacy Commissioner. This isn't a mistake, it's corruption. This was a coordinated campaign involving the CAO, the city clerk, the city solicitor, the director of corporate communications, the narrator, other city staff, and the mayor who fronted the video and supported its release. They used their power to illegally access surveillance footage, to smear a sitting councillor, to mislead the public, to defame residents, to break privacy laws, to silence dissent, to block community engagement. This was all deliberate. This was top down, and this was unlawful. After knowing all this, we must return to in-person council meetings immediately. The IPC has confirmed that no public safety threat existed. The digital shutdown must end. And don't let the excuse of chamber renovations be used to justify this ongoing suppression of public access.
And yeah, so we'll leave it there for now. Let's see if I can find the video of the. Oh, there it is. Oh my gosh, it was there and then it was gone. Okay, there it is. So the text messages. One, she says, very well done, especially considering the limited time and the amount of material to sift through. This is a text message between them talking about how to use the video against Lisa. 1, I presume that we have permission of the Legion to post their letter to Councillor Robinson. 2, at the 8:50 mark, the image includes blank with the outsiders. It could mislead people to think that blank is one of them and blank is definitely not. I would remove that image or blur blank out. Either works for me. At 10:50, he was asked to leave because of the unauthorized filming, not because he was targeted in any way. Just want that to be clear. Also, we include the handles of many posts. I trust that's fine. At 8:30, to me, they are trying to advance their alt-right agenda. Their alt-right agenda. How dare they advance their alt-right agenda, right? Those evil alt-right Canadians. Pretty crazy stuff. I'm honestly blown away. Donald Best is talking about a new bill in Ontario that may actually, he doesn't like it, but it may actually address some of these oversteps by council. Donald says Ontario Premier Doug Ford and his leftist allies want to gut local democracy. New legislation would silence your elected municipal councillors, stripping them of the power to speak, act, and be accountable to you, the voter. Last week, the Ford PCs passed Bill 9, the so-called Municipal Accountability Act, on second reading. It's now at standing committee. The legislation mirrors a Liberal bill from 21 and poses a significant threat to local democracy and free speech. Here's a rundown of Bill 9. Centralized control over local councils. Bill 9 takes away municipalities' ability to set their own codes of conduct, handing that power to the provincial government instead of locally elected councils deciding on the rules. Queen's Park would dictate them, undermining local decision-making and shifting control to bureaucrats in Toronto. The city councils have been taken over by zealots and activists. Like, we need to rein them in. So I don't trust Ford, and I don't think that Ford's a liberal. But reining them in is necessary at this point in time, and it's well past due. And I think that you should probably remove councillors who are behaving in the way that these councillors are behaving. But we don't have that capacity or that power. 2, expand the powers for Provincial Integrity Commissioner. The bill grants the Provincial Integrity Commissioner, an unelected official, sweeping powers to investigate and punish local councillors based on vague breaches of conduct. They could even recommend the removal of councillors or for severe misconduct, opening the door to partisan abuse and political censorship. We're watching partisan abuse and political censorship play out right now, with Lisa being removed from her ability to do her job at all by partisan council members who are using their power against her in illegal ways. A dangerous new mechanism for removing elected officials. The bill allows municipal integrity commissioners to recommend removing elected officials based on undefined claims of serious violations or behavior that causes harm to someone's well-being. This vagueness sets a dangerous precedent that could overrule the will of voters and give unelected government officials more power than the elected. Bill 9 is nothing short of an attack on local democracy. I don't see it that way. I don't trust Ford, but these people have lost their ever-loving minds, and we need a mechanism to stop them. So we'll see how it all plays out, I guess. Melanie says, have you wondered what anti-racist teacher training looks like? I can show you my latest from True North and Juno News. And so this is from Waterloo, Oxford, and it says dismantling whiteness at Waterloo, Oxford. Words matter. Family is identified as harmful by our racialized students, and it implies values positions of male authority and hierarchy, a nuclear family structure, not the same for everyone. Niceness asks for obedience, no room for questions or criticism, an expectation to prioritize families' needs and wants, sacrificing personal boundaries. So yeah, family is super bad. The thing that stuck out to me, and that isn't mentioned in like anybody's talking about it, I haven't read the True North report, so maybe they talk about it, but I'm not holding my breath. But dismantling whiteness is okay. What if we started dismantling blackness, or dismantling Asianness, or dismantling whatever else-ness, right? Jewishness, right? Like, could we do that? So, and if we did that, wouldn't people lose their ever-loving minds? How is dismantling whiteness something that you're okay with, and okay with sending your kids to be taught that these people are being trained to dismantle whiteness? Why is that okay? What is going on? Again, the first thing I would do as Premier of Ontario is dismantle the school boards. I'd fire everybody. I'd fire every single person in the school board and then rehire principals under a single school board. And every parent gets the money that they would normally get. So each kid in Ontario is worth between $10,000 and $13,000 a year. And if it's 13, it's because you have an EA or you're identified in some way that you need special resources and things like that. And if you're 10, you're run-of-the-mill kid. So I'd figure out a way to, give the parents enough money to be able to put their kids in charter school, and I would make sure that all schools in Ontario were teaching reading, writing, and arithmetic, and that's basically it. Like all the cultural stuff, all the social stuff, we need to end that stuff. And we need to have a mechanism by which you can remove teachers who start trying to bring that crap into the schools. Honestly, they're trying to undermine and dismantle the nuclear family, and it's wild. I know we're long today, but we're going to keep going. Catherine Kronos says, I was suspended from school council for objecting to the imposition of a land acknowledgement at meetings. Our next council meeting is tonight. Last night, I'm calling on Hamilton Wentworth District School Board to lift the suspension and allow me to attend. Thank you for the JCCF Canada for their support. So the JCCF sent a letter to the Hamilton Wentworth District School Board and told them that they're violating Catherine's right to be there. I don't know if that's accurate, but and so they're representing Catherine, and what the Hamilton Wentworth District School Board is doing is wrong because they are not allowed to speak on other people's behalf. And Catherine said, this land acknowledgement is ridiculous and doesn't represent what I want, and you should stop it, or at least have a rider in there that says I disagree with this forced speech, because I don't agree with that. And so instead of dealing with the request from Catherine, they blackballed her from the meeting. So I hope they get sued. Maxime Bernier says the PPC supports elected parent Catherine Kronos, who is unfairly suspended from Hamilton Wentworth District School Council for objecting to land acknowledgements. And so, hey, Pierre Poilievre, where you at, bud? No, he's not going to speak out on that. No, he's not. Censorship, and then I'll kill the stream. We just have to talk about this stuff because it's really, really important. And I mean, I know it's at the end of the 40-minute show that is actually an hour and 10-minute long show today, at least. But it's important to talk about this stuff. Western Standard says feds take third swing at the censorship bill. And so that's Bill C-63. They're trying to backdoor it through the Senate. And, I didn't realize that was on. They're trying to backdoor it through the Senate. And through backdooring it to the Senate, they're, trying to make it seem like Carney's not all that interested. But Carney is directly trying to access our online footprint. And here's Michael Geist to tell us about that. He says, what policy rationale is government using to justify warrantless access to information about subscribers and inspection of ISP systems for interception capabilities in Bill C-2, according to Department Brief, combating organized crime and fentanyl? So they want to be able to look at all of your stuff with the excuse of saying we're fighting drugs and crime. They're not. Table Salt says, well, looky, Mark Carney wants your X profile information, snuck it in a border protection bill. Okay, so the bill will allow a justice or judge to authorize in a warrant a peace officer or a public officer to obtain tracking data or transmission data that relates to anything that is similar to a thing in relation to which data is authorized to be obtained under the warrant, and that is unknown at the time the warrant is issued. And it will also allow a justice or judge to authorize a peace officer or public officer to make a request to a foreign entity that provides telecommunication services to the public to produce transmission data or subscriber information that is in its possession or control. So if they say, we want to have Mark's Canada Poly account, then X will have to give them all of that, and that'll be above board, legal, totally fine. This is the law of the land. There you go. This was passed the other day to protect Canadians. There you go. They want you to do this, Elon Musk. And that's that. Redneck says, so this is censorship. What they're trying to do is pack the bill full of crap and then pass it by saying, like, it's the Patriot Act, or, this We Love Everybody in Canada Act, or the super good nice guy act, or whatever it is. They name it all sorts of good things in order to pass crap because they know that people don't look past the headline. The Protecting You From Yourself Act, right? Like, it's ridiculous. Rednecks Albert Rednokius, whatever, says, you know who censors free speech? Iran, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Syria. So why is Canada? Extrapolate, guys. Communist. We're communist right now. Chief Trumpster says we're cooked. Planeteer says certain kinds of evil can only be fought with force. Planeteer stands with Israel. Oh. I'm shocked. I'm shocked. This is me being shocked. Here's the Quartering talking about this whole adpocalypse YouTube censorship thing. It's 12 minutes long. It's too long for this podcast today, but he's saying massive lawsuit goes forward revealing woke censorship network against X and YouTube and collusion. So we'll see. I haven't watched this whole video yet, so I don't know what the details of this lawsuit are. If there's a big lawsuit in Canada, I will definitely join it. Class action is the word I was looking for. If there's a class action lawsuit in Canada, I'll certainly join it. But at this point in time, I think the YouTube and X are both behaving at the behest of the Canadian government. I'm not holding my breath that anything is going to change at all. The other thing is, you know how TV sucks right now? We're not going to fix that. Nobody's going to be making TV that's better. Well, I mean, some people are going to be making TV that's better. There's some good shows out there that are less woke than others, I guess, but wokeness isn't a lot of the shows. But now AI is going to be making old shows brand new again, brand new episodes of Who's the Boss, Friends. What was the other one? Seinfeld, right? Friends and Seinfeld was like a Thursday night 1-2 punch, right? And you had a couple of crappy shows and then Friends and Seinfeld. And then sometimes it was 2 Friends and 2 Seinfeld and all sorts of crazy stuff. But like people watched television on Thursday nights all through the 90s. It was insane. And so now they're going to make new episodes of Friends using AI and people can't tell the difference. What could possibly be done with that? Well, you can set culture. Like look at Rachel's hair. You know what I mean? The Rachel haircut became a thing, right? You can shame people who act in certain ways, like Joey, right? Like if Joey becomes a mega guy, right? Like all of a sudden, all the friends are no longer friends with Joey. Oh, sad Joey. And then he sees the light and takes off the red hat, and everybody's happy again. Yay, Joey! So it's very influential. What could they do with that? Oh my gosh, they could give you exactly what you want. They could give you new episodes of Star Trek, Deep Space Nine. They could make the Dominion War go forever, right? Like it's one of those things. You could just get lost in it. You could have Harry Potter themed episodes, right? Like give me all of the fill-in that we missed in the Harry Potter movies with the original cast. That's what I want. And then there you go. New Harry Potter HBO series with all of the fill-in done with AI, right? What could they do with that? They could influence the crap out of you. Here's just what's going on.
Behind closed doors, execs have seen AI content so lifelike, they're now considering using it to extend old sitcoms. Not reboots, not remakes. We're talking new official episodes made entirely by machines. One exec told me that the next generative AI is so lifelike, the studio executives were, quote, scared of how they could no longer tell the difference between reality and an artificial creation. One company, Fable Studios, just launched Showrunner, an AI platform that lets users create entire TV episodes from a single sentence. Voice animation, dialogue, all auto-generated. That's all according to a report in VentureBeat. And with Hollywood under pressure to cut costs, some studios are now exploring whether to license old IP to AI firms to generate spin-offs, especially outsourcing nostalgia. But there's a legal gray area. The U.S. Copyright Office made it clear in February that AI-generated work isn't protected unless a human makes meaningful creative contributions. But as the tech gets better, the question isn't whether AI can bring back your favorite shows. It's whether you'll still recognize and watch them if you can't tell the difference.
My first question is, like, what does that mean? What is the benchmark for meaningful creation?
Well, I can tell you right now that on YouTube, it's a very gray area, and
Yeah.
Warner Brothers has made me angry.
No, see, like, they're like, we're going to get AI to redo these, and they're going to bring back the Andy Griffith Show, and it's going to be that wolf in there. Like,
Ridiculous. Andy Griffith, though, I could see that. Somebody in the chat on Twitch, we were talking about endless Golden Girls. So yeah, it kind of does feel endless now. Okay, I got to say goodbye to the stream, everybody. We're gonna carry on. 48 minutes. Oh my gosh, we still have a huge rest of the show. It's ridiculous how much show is left. So thanks for watching on the stream, everybody, and we'll catch you tomorrow. Hello everyone, thanks very much for watching. This is just a short version of a longer show. If you'd like to get the whole show, you can go over to CanadaPoly.com and sign up for a subscription. Just look in the drop-down tab for Shop and Donate and look for subscriptions, and you'll get immediate access to the full show. Love to see you. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful